Hi everyone, welcome back to Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with the very first match reaction of the season. And my God, that was a horrible game, wasn't it? Newcastle United did the business in the end, managed to get the win 1-0 against Southampton at St James's Park. Way more difficult than we thought it was going to be for a multitude of reasons, largely the rubbish referee, which we'll get stuck into in a minute, amongst all the other stuff, as well as we always do in the post-match. Just before we do, a little reminder, if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. Why not hang on a little bit longer? Help us grow. I think we're closing in on 8,400 subs now. So 9K is the next milestone. I've got some belter prizes for 9K and then 10 after that. 10's an unbelievable prize, to be fair. So yeah, make sure you smash that button, guys. Recommend us to family and friends. You won't regret it. And we're going to get stuck right into this in a minute. We are live. We've got loads of you in the chat already. Now we'll get into your comments as much as we can. And I'm just going to start with this crazy game. So this is how we lined up for the first game of the season. You'll get the lineup up there with the new style lineup, a very, very old Panini matchbook stickers from Newcastle's marketing here, but pretty much how everyone thought we were going to line up. We had Nick Pope, we had Tino Livramento, Lewis Hall at full back, we had Fabian Schär and Big Dan Burn at centre half. The midfield three was Bruno, Joelinton and Sean Longstaff, and up top it was Murphy on the right-hand side, not Miggy, Isaac through the middle, and Anthony Gordon on the left-hand side. Looking at the Southampton team, one familiar name stood out was Adam Armstrong, obviously former Newcastle United Academy striker. Has played against us before, hasn't done much. Had way more chances to do stuff today, which we'll get stuck right into in a minute. But in terms of the game, in terms of the way that we started really strong. The press was back, that high intense Eddie Howe style press. Right from minute one, we were in their faces. We weren't letting them play. We were pushing their centre half, Stevens. There was fouls going in from Southampton and everything else. And unfortunately, the referee, I was worried about the referee before the game, which many of us were, because he's utterly atrocious in the shape of Craig Pawson, and he didn't let us down, shortly after that. But we were trying to get stuck into them. We were winning the ball back up high. We were trying to make things happen. Just the final ball was a little bit slow, a little bit rusty. The play was a bit static. The movement was a little bit, just not quite match sharp. Sorry, in terms of the way the lads were playing. Lewis Hall gets a yellow card early doors. Bit of a naive bit of play by Lewis Hall. He is a young lad. I've seen some comments in there about Lewis Hall already, which we'll go back over in a minute. But he is a young lad. He is going to make mistakes. He ended the season really strong. He's looked good pre-season. He did kind of make a little bit of a rick, I think, early on, but I think he redeemed himself. As the game went along. We'll get into some of his key moments in a minute. But the big talking point really in the first half was the Fabian Schär and Brereton Díaz moment. Now, if you haven't seen this, so Brereton Díaz, who was basically running around like a fucking pub team player, charges about 15 yards, shoulder barges Fabian Schär, puts him down. Fabian Schär gets up. Now, listen, Craig Pawson is an atrocious referee, but Fabian Schär is an experienced player and he should know better than this. He gets up and he puts his head into Brereton Díaz, as you can see from the image there. He sticks his head into him. It's soft as piss, it really is. But when you've got a horrible trigger-happy referee like Craig Pawson, you're going to give him the opportunity to send you off. He sends Fabian Schär off, and Steve's saying there, outrageous, red card ruined the game. Yeah, absolutely. Lewis was struggling, needed taken off early. But going back to the red card itself, you're right, Steve. It was a little bit soft. I think for the first game of the Premier League season, Pawson could have had a little bit more calmness in the game, pulled each player to the side and said, listen, calm this shit down, get away with it, and crack on. But he didn't do it. He threw the red card out straight away. Schär was completely shocked. Dan Burn ran over and tried to pick up Brereton Díaz off the deck. He knew exactly what he was doing, the shit house. And that really set the firework off in the game for Newcastle. It kind of rattled us a little bit. People were losing their cool. Joelinton was getting a bit angry as well. And, to be fair, Bruno was captain today, which was great to see. And he actually calmed down a little bit in the game, Bruno. I thought he was going to lose his head a little bit, but he was calm. Everyone else was kind of losing their stack. And shortly after that tackle, I was screaming for somebody to stick one on Brereton Díaz, right? And all the players you could have thought were going to stick one on him. I bet you wouldn't have chose this lad, Sean Longstaff. I tell you something, he was fucking brilliant today, Sean Longstaff. And that tackle was the best tackle of the game, I think, because it was almost about 10 minutes after Brereton Díaz had done this, and everyone was booing him. He was like the pantomime villain. And I was just screaming at the TV, somebody go through this prick, and up steps North Shield's finest, bang, straight through him. It was quite funny because Brereton Díaz got up, to be fair to him. I don't like the bloke, and I thought he was an arsehole today. He was an embarrassment to his football club and himself. But he got up and had a bit of a grin about it because that was obviously what he was looking to do. Sean Longstaff kind of went like that to pretend to nut him. I said, maybe don't do that, Sean, as this referee will give cards to anybody. I mean, the fouls that Southampton put in, Southampton, according to the stat sheet of the game, Southampton only had 16 fouls and 4 yellow cards versus our 15 fouls and 2 yellow cards. I think Southampton committed way more fouls than that. And Craig Pawson let them get away. I seen your comment coming there, Ian. Yeah, you wouldn't have seen this, guys, if you were at the game today. But Dan Burn went steaming down the tunnel, and he went for Brereton Díaz. And then the other centre-half for Southampton, is it Brennan or something like that? What an arsehole he was, because he started lipping off. He was gobbing off all game. Dan Burn gets him by the shirt in the tunnel, and I thought Dan Burn was going to level this bloke. I thought he was going to give him a Blythe haymaker and send him sleeping for a week. But Fabian Schär obviously got sent off, and then that kind of rattled the game a little bit for us. Southampton started to kind of come a little bit back into the game. Shortly after that, we were struggling to get a foot on it, and then up steps the big man himself, who was magnificent today. I'm going 19 minutes into the video. Joelinton, my man of the match, hands down in this football game. The keeper, McCarthy, makes a complete wreck. Alexander Isak, very quiet today. He passes the ball straight. Alexander Isak. It's a lovely pick out, towards the centre of the box. And Joelinton takes a beautiful touch, strokes it in the bottom corner. Great finish. So James Parker was fucking mad. Joelinton takes all of the applause. This guy is massive for this football club. Massive. When he's fit, when he's like he is today, absolutely 100% a beast of a player. I think any Premier League team would want him. Any team in Europe would want him when he's like that, when there's blood and fire and just brimstone all over the football pitch. Joelinton is the type of guy that you want to have in your team. There's no doubt about that in my mind. He was brilliant today. So we go in 1-0 at half-time. Yes, there was some issues where Lewis Hall struggled. I think he clears one off the line, actually, shortly after that in the first half. So Lewis Hall kind of redeems himself a little bit. Great clearance off the line. I think Brereton Díaz, of all people, does a step over. Armstrong flicks his foot at it, and then Lewis Hall comes flying in, clears off the line. Kind of redeems himself for the little error he made in the first half. I thought Tino was decent as well in the first half. He stood up quite strong. Loads of corners the whole game. Southampton got it was 12 corners versus our 3, so that shows what pressure we were under. The red card did change the game. Yeah, thank you, J7. It was a Bednarek. What a wank he is, by the way. Awful pub team player. Got hooked later on. So second half, come on. To be fair, I think Southampton, Martin in the dressing room, who actually, Russell Martin looks like a soap opera villain, doesn't he? He could be a bad guy in EastEnders or Emmerdale with that dark beard. Him and Tindo were having a bit of verbals, I think, on the sideline as well. But he obviously got into Southampton and said we shouldn't be losing this game, and they came out quite strong. Nick Pope makes a brilliant save from from Adam Armstrong again, who had a couple of sighters, to be fair to young Armstrong. Really, really did. Kept us in the game. A couple of little injury worries from Nick Pope. Takes a goal kick and wobbles a little bit. I was really worried about that, given the state of our backup goalkeepers beyond Nick Pope. But, all in all, tough game for Newcastle. A really, really ugly game for the first game of the season. But the victory was there. The 3 points were there was most important. Some concerns, I think, obviously Fabian Schär being suspended now, whether we appeal or not, I don't know. That probably puts £5 million on top of Gahey's valuation. Steve Parish will be rubbing his fucking greasy hands together when he sees Fabian Schär get a red card today. But the big bonus, I think, was the midfield were brilliant today. I think Bruno, Sean and Joelinton, man of the match, hands down. But Sean looked better today as well. He was flying into tackles. His decision-making was a bit better. He was looking like the Sean Longstaff that we see, who just gives everything for the football team. There's no surprise there's a certain Italian stallion coming back in a couple of weeks, and Sean's maybe stepping his game to try and keep in this team ahead of, obviously, Tonali returning, Louis Miley's back in training as well. So Sean knows he needs to step up to stay in this team. But I thought Sean was brilliant today. Big Dan Burn got stuck in as well. I think Tino was good. Lewis Hall, ups and downs, some good moments, some bad moments. Isak looked rusty. Gordon looked rusty. Murphy was all right in spells. Barnes looked good when he come on, but again, a little bit rusty. We just needed to kind of click a little bit together. Thankfully, our first batch of fixtures aren't against top opposition, so it might give us a bit of time to almost have a couple of wobbles and then find our form before we start playing somebody what you would call one of the big teams in the Premier League. But Southampton really give it to us today. They came at St James's Park. They had a plan. It was ugly. It was pub team-esque in a way, in many ways. But they hung in the game there, and they could have easily got a point out of this game, and you couldn't have argued for it if they did. Loads of chances towards the end. We were defending for our lives, really, and you shouldn't really be saying that against the lowest ranked championship team that came up to the Premiership last season. But sometimes football does that to you. This red card definitely changed it. But let's not make any mistakes about it. Newcastle weren't great today, even before the red card. So they really need to up their game, in my opinion, if they're going to try and get back in the top four this season. We need some quality additions. There's no doubt about that. And today was evident about that. Let's get some of your comments there flying in. So George has said these are absolute shit houses. I think that was even during the game, George, wasn't it, to be fair? Marcus was saying a clean sheet is a clean sheet. It won't see many of this season. Yet again, Ian saying Joelinton was a monster today. We've been hammered. If it wasn't for him, 3 points, that was absolutely. And Matt was saying it. He agrees with Hall. Saved that goal, done some great things. Gave the ball away stupidly a few times, but he will be great. Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't write Lewis Hall off. I think he's a fantastic young fullback. I think he really, really will be. Not just Newcastle's left back for years, but England's as well. Stu Mag saying another season of piss poor refereeing. 100% couldn't agree more. Stu, Craig Pawson's a fucking disgrace in the PGMOL straight away from the first game of the season. I've got questions to ask. Best league in the world, yeah, and the shit as referees. Completely agree. Terry saying those two Brazilian lads will sleep well tonight. They put in one hell of a shift. They were sensational. If we can keep them two fit for the majority of the season, Terry, we're going to be in a good position. There's no doubt about it. You build around those players. Nick Pope needs to stay fit. We need maybe Gay to come in at the back, alongside, Schär's obviously suspended there now. We've got Big Dan Burn. Botman's the key to come back. If we get old Botman coming back alongside someone like Gay, he would be absolutely brilliant. Tino and Hall are good fullbacks. Trippier is still at the club. I'm not sure he will be much longer. I think if Trippier was going to be at the football club, I think Eddie would have started him a day. I think Trippier being on the bench tells you everything you need to know. I think Trippier will be gone before the window is out, and he'll go with everyone's well wishes because he's been brilliant. But yeah, we need to build around those two Brazilian boys, no doubt. Matt saying Big Joe was an absolute beast today. Nice to see Sean commit himself to tackles again. It's been a while. You're right, Matt. I think Sean was flying into challenges. I want to see more of that from Sean. More of that, I really do, because he's got that in his game. There were some fucking barnstorming tackles Sean Longstaff put in today. I think if he did a bit more of that, I think he'd probably get less shit off people, And I know people say he's a scapegoat type player, but he is and he's not, because sometimes he puts in performances that just aren't good enough. But today was magnificent, Sean. He was everywhere, putting his leg out, putting his body on the line, nailing that shit house, and he had a great game, Sean, so he can sleep easy as well tonight. Simon said, I don't know what was worse, Diaz or the damn referee. What a joke he was today. They were both as bad as each other. Simon, to be honest with you, I think Brereton Díaz is a disgrace to his club and to himself. If he's going to do shit like that all season, he's going to get targeted by opposition players and fan bases. But the FA are going to have to step in and do something, because that was real unsporting behaviour, getting Fabian Schär sent off that. I'm not excusing Fabian Schär. He should know better. You do something like that with VAR, you're going to be in trouble. I don't know why he got wound up like that so early on. Maybe because the game was frustrating. But yeah, I think he needs to know. He needs to know better than that. Ian said he thought, yeah, Longstaff was excellent day. Fair play to him. Absolutely. We'll run him down when he's not playing particularly good, but we have to give him his praise when he does. Ashley said, want to say a massive thanks for a gifted sub, which I knew it was from. Only saw the email today. Oh, yeah, no problem, Ashley. That's brilliant. Yeah, I think we all know who that generosity came from, and he's in the chat there. So, yeah, massive thanks to that as well. CJ Jones is saying, how a man goes down like he's been shot after a nudge to the head is absolutely embarrassing. That's modern day football, CJ, unfortunately. Just they don't need anything, do they, to go down. Ian says he thought Tino's defence was outstanding. He was brilliant today. He's got such good positional sense as Tino. It doesn't go to ground too quickly. He stays on his feet. He's got that pace to get him out of trouble, which is great. Got Sophia in the comments. Good to see you, Sophia. Long time no see. Pawson was shocking for 96 minutes. He must have been devastated that we won. You've got to start asking, Sophia, haven't you? Is there an agenda here from some of these referees against Newcastle United? Because Pawson was disgraceful today. Some of the tackles that went in from Stevens and Ben Brereton at the back were utterly terrible. I think when Anthony Gordon dips his shoulder and goes, Stevens basically forearm smashes him practically in the face. No yellow card. It took about 6 or 7 challenges from Stevens to even get a yellow card. At that point, he was disgusted that he got one. And Ben Brereton was winding everybody up. Pawson let the game go too much in Southampton's favour. It was a disgrace. I'd be shocked if Newcastle United aren't putting in a letter to the PGMOL about that shit house and hopefully he'll get binned off the lower leagues in the next few weeks because he's absolutely disgraceful. Vincent saying, proper resolute defender, and credit to the whole team. Just wish we could do a bit better in possession to help ease the pressure at times against a better team. That could have been a heavy defeat. Totally agree, Vincent. I think it's against Southampton. We've got to call it what it is. Southampton are a hard working side. They've come up, everyone's writing them off already, but they really showed today that they're going to give this a go, and fair play to them. But that performance reminded me a lot of the Sheffield United performance last season when they came up and did the same thing to us as well. So I'm not going to say Southampton are going to stay up, but to adopt those kind of shit house antics, which is what they did to try and get the victory and blew up in their face. Obviously, they'll do that to other teams. And as you're rightly saying, if we allowed better teams the kind of time on the ball and space that we allowed Southampton today, that could have been a really heavy defeat. So we have to learn lessons from that. Tony saying, no way red card. I agree, Chris. As soon as I seen he was refereeing, I knew it was going to be a shock. Like the red card zapped the life out of us. We look nervy, but a win's a win. Absolutely. Red cards can do that. But yeah, credit the lads for knuckling down and getting the victory. It took a lot of dedication, a lot of graft, and they managed to do it. And that's all we can ask for is 3 points. But there were some worrying signs there that I would hope Eddie Howe's going to iron out very, very quickly. And after the saying, I'm impressed we didn't fold under the pressure after Schär got off. We managed to keep a clean sheet too. Yeah, absolutely. We could have folded there. You think about the Newcastle of all, we would have folded. We would have got battered 3 or 4-1 probably. A little consolation goal at the end, I'd imagine. But it was good to see them digging in and helping each other out as well. I saw a lot of high fives for players who maybe lost the ball 10 minutes before, like Lewis Hall got a lot of pats on the back from the senior players, and I like to see that. It shows you the team play. Ronald saying we do need a couple of decent signings, but a win is a win. 3 points for our first game of the season, absolutely. And Ty saying at least Schär would have got us more Japanese supporters today. Well, you never know. I suppose. Yeah, I was going to say that story of the lad in Japan who loved Pardew, wasn't it? Absolutely. That's brilliant. We've got a comment there from Alexander Harkoff saying Mark Goldbridge said that Diaz should have had a 3-match ban for simulation. Well, credit to Goldbridge. I will give him credit where it's due. I often take the piss out of him when he goes United, but I will give him credit for that because he's bang on the money. I hope the FA do look at that simulation, because I thought it was absolutely disgusting by Brereton Díaz. I really thought the referee should have handled that better. I agree with you, Philip. The ref was an absolute disgrace. If the refs are going to be conned that easy by these players, then maybe they need a bit more training. They need a little bit more understanding of how the game works. But Pawson just seems to have a real problem for Newcastle United. He really, really does. This isn't the first time. Wasn't Pawson the guy who didn't give a red card when Trippier got wiped out against Manchester City? I think it was when he was through on goal. Or it was Gordon, possibly. So he's got previous with us as Pawson, and he's still able to referee and still make these horrendous big calls. So, yeah, you got to ask questions to the PGM. Well, I'm talking about you, Howard Webb. Why is this guy still out to referee our games when he's got previous and been absolutely atrocious in terms of managing or refereeing the game against Newcastle United? Viva Vendetta saying our standards with the ball is actually really concerning. We just are so content to turn possession over so quickly and so often after the red was a complete shithouse job. I'm a bit concerned about that. I must say, I think our use of the ball was poor today, even before the red card. Red card's going to change the game. There's no question about that at all. And I just think for me, Newcastle really have to use the ball better. We've got much better players in Southampton. Champions League players now, a lot of those players who weren't before. So they should be able to control that game a little better. Keep their heads as well in moments like that. Joelinton was magnificent today, right? But there was a little moment when he started to lose his head a little bit, and I thought, fucking hell, what's going on? And Bruno, credit to him when the captain's on back today, was calmer, pulled him back and stopped him from acting like a maniac and getting himself in trouble as well. But yeah, we do have to use the ball a lot better. Sophia saying, yeah, from masters down to the referees, there's 100% an agenda. It's hard to disagree with it, Sophia. It really, really is really hard to disagree with it, because I just think that there's so much evidence for it. There's so much a body of work. They've just got a problem with Newcastle United that it's there for everybody to see. And I know that neutrals probably won't think it, but for me, I do question these decisions these referees are making against us. I really, really do. Monty Brewster is saying, I wonder if Schär sending off might expedite the proposed Guy transfer. Absolutely. That's a big word for me. It was nearly 10-6 on a Saturday when I'm drained from that game, Monty, but I managed to get through it. I think it will. I think the Guy deal, or the Gahey deal, sorry, is more or less done. I think Palace are just trying to squeeze us for as much as they possibly can, but unfortunately, I think Fabian Schär's kind of rashness there has probably just added a bit extra to the transfer fee. But if it's 70 million to one, I think Newcastle will go 65 plus add-ons, and I think we'll get the Gahey deal done. And I wouldn't be surprised if he plays against Bournemouth. If he comes in, at the start of the week and trains well and looks good, I think Eddie will throw him straight in. Be interesting to see if he plays for Palace this weekend. I don't think he will. If the deal's going to be done, I'll be shocked if Newcastle United aren't getting that done now, and they need to get that done. I really do. Charles Hosberg, second of Spain. What a name. Bruno seems a lot more disciplined. If that game was last season, he would have elbowed about 5 people in the face. You are right. You're absolutely right. Bruno would have went mental in that game, I'm sure. Just went around just nailing people, wouldn't he, like he did in the Arsenal game, to be fair. So what we've got to do. We're coming from, and I said, how rude of me to walk in and not greet the host. I do apologise. How do, Chris? How do to you, and how do to Ian, I think, as well. I saw it in the chat there. Sorry, Ian, I'm flying through here. I'm just trying to get them as quick as I can. But yeah, how do to all of you. I'm sure you're all drained after that game. And loads of you would have been at the game, and you probably watched this afterwards and breathe a sigh of relief, because a win is a win, as we all say. Graham's in the comments saying great 3 points, but worried about how much ball they had before the sending off. Me too, mate. What happens when we play a better team? Happy with the battle in defence. Yeah, the battle in defence is great. I think you have to be better on the ball. Last season we scored so many goals, but we let loads of goals in, so we were worried about that this season, and trying to sharpen the defence, hence we're trying to buy one of England's centre-halves. But I think we were really poor today in terms of the use of the ball, the possession, the just making the right decisions in the pass. Again, Isak may have looked poor today, but there was nobody giving him the ball. There was no runs for him to make, for people to find him. I think the one couple of chances that he had, lovely little bit of play when he dipped the shoulder and went round Stevens, I think it was. And that was the Isak that we all want to see, but he just didn't get enough of the ball today, and the decision making was poor. So yeah, you're right. We need to use the ball a lot better. Costasano said, "Don't forget to hit the like button, guys." Yes, don't forget to hit that like button. Really, we do appreciate that. David is saying, "Have I missed your Diaz rant?" You might have missed a bit of it, but I'll just recap for you, David. That scruffy, hippie-looking twat is a disgrace of a footballer, and I really hope that the FA throw the book at his greasy head and his scabby little hobo beard. There's a bit for you, David, just because you joined us a bit late. What an arsehole. And I love the fact that Sean Longstaff leveled him, and I really hope that other teams level him as well if he tries to pull that shit out of the bag week in, week out. That's a sign of a really crap player. If that's all you can do is cause shit. Who was the one that was awful at it? Oh God, what was he? He played for Stoke, didn't he? John Walters. He made a career of being shit and just getting in the way and trying to get people sent off. And if Brereton Díaz wants to go down that route, then crack on. He scored some goals last season for Sheffield United. He's got ability to do that. But if he wants to become that shit house of a player, then crack on, mate. But I just hope he gets leveled by a few big defenders and nasty midfielders. I actually prayed for prime David Batty at that particular moment, just to come back and absolutely batter him as well. But sadly, we can't do that. If I built a time machine, I would have brought David Batty back, drove him up to St James's Park. Johnny Granger saying Big Dan Burn was solid again today. He was solid. A couple of times I think kind of possessed the ball, miscontrolled, but rust at the start of the season. It's bound to happen. But I thought in general, BDB was good today. Loved the fact he went steaming down a tunnel after Brereton Díaz and then got a hold of Benerick as well. That's the kind of Dan Burn I want to see. Just big, nasty bastard that's taking no shit from anybody. I love that about BDB. Oi, lad says antagonise. Yeah, good to see you in the comments, mate, as well. Costas has said Diaz punching Fabi's back should be violent conduct. Yeah, I think that's going to have to get looked at. I really, really do. Because I think he gave as much as Schär gave back. Just stupidly when you do that with your head in any kind of action these days, modern day football, it's a red card. Ian says Longstaff got the hard tackling afterwards, which I clapped. Absolutely, man. I think everyone clapped that. Sean needs to do more of it, as I said earlier. And if he did, I think people get off his back a bit. Joe Hardy saying, does anyone know how many stitches he got length of time he was doing? Christ, yeah, he was terrible. Absolutely terrible. He really, really was. It's just embarrassing, isn't it? I mean, I'd be embarrassed about Southampton. They drove a long way to see their team put a good performance in against Newcastle United, and then you got this arsehole trying to pull out something that a pub team striker would do the weekend. Just a joke, absolute joke. As Terry says there, he's a disgrace to his profession. Yeah, this day and age, Schär shouldn't have done it. I do agree with that. He went down like a bag of spanners. That's the bit I was disappointed at. But I think is Schär doing that. I don't know why he lost his head like that. Maybe he's a little bit rattled about the whole Mark Gahey thing. potentially in the back of his mind. He might be a bit concerned that he's going to lose his place. I don't know. But Schär I thought he'd be calmer than that. I thought he'd be a bit more grown up than that. But I think, for me, I think Schär has to be more sensible. But, like I say, his teammates pulled him out of the shit in the end. Yeah, Barbara's in the comments saying cheaters never win. Absolutely, Barbara. Well said. We've got Mick J as well saying the blatant bias against Newcastle is becoming so obvious. I agree on that one, Mick. I really do. That there's got to be a challenge here. I mean, I did that video, didn't I, a few weeks back about Manchester United getting special dispensation from the Premier League during lockdown, and for the shares to go through to Sir Jim Twatcliffe. And no mainstream media is talking about it. I don't give TalkSport much credit, as you know, on this channel. If you've watched us for a long time, if you haven't, go back and watch them. You might enjoy them. Just don't watch them with your kids around. But TalkSport were the people who actually brought that up in the first place because their guests brought it up. But no mainstream media has talked about Manchester United's blatant favouritism from the Premier League to allow them to dodge FFP. Dodge FFP. We got done for. We had to sell two promising young players, one of who got an assist today, by the way, and played really well for Brighton, and Yankuba Minter, and the other one, and Elliot Anderson, who we all thought was going to be the next Jordi Gerrard. But Man United get away with it, and Newcastle can't, Everton can't, Forest can't, Villa can't. It's bullshit. But that's the Premier League for you. It's corrupt and it stinks of shit. But nobody seems to challenge the status quo, and that pisses me off. Comment F and Graham saying, great show, Chris. Glad you're back. No Longstaff, biggest fan, but well today. Midfield done very well. Yeah, I thought the midfield were brilliant today. If it wasn't for those three, we'd have lost that game, 100%. I'm going to say that out loud because I think it's right. And every single one of them to a man. Yes, Joelinton gets all the credit and the praise just for being a superhero today. But Bruno was excellent. The captain's armband on. I thought he took it really well. He seemed to take that responsibility well. As we've said before, he was calm in the moment where he needed to be calm. But Sean today, I thought was brilliant. He gets a lot of shit, Sean, very, very often from Newcastle fans, but I think a lot of Newcastle fans will praise him for his performance today because I thought he was excellent today. He was a real workhorse today. Kevin Bryan said, by the way, Chelsea are a disgrace. So many players. You're not wrong about that. They just seem to be able to sell hotels to themselves. But again, it doesn't get challenged. Absolute joke. Ty said, Jordi Gerrard is a downgrade from the Maradona. Absolutely. That was a Bristol fans, to be fair, who gave him that tag, didn't they? But hey, fair play. That's them. Ian said, imagine if Vinnie Jones had nutted Diaz. Yeah, I think you would have known about that one, mate. I don't think Vinnie Jones would have just done a slight head movement. I think Vinnie Jones would have impaled him probably. But those players can't exist anymore. I mean, showing my age, I loved watching the battles between Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira, but those players can't exist in this game now. They're not allowed to exist in this game. So you used to watch Arsenal versus Manchester United, and you were waiting for that first tackle flying in between them two, spark that game into life. And you can't do it anymore because they've ruined it. They've absolutely ruined the game. Any slight touch, and it's a yellow or a red card. And if you got someone like Pawson, if he doesn't like that team, he's going to be trigger happy with the cards. I mean, booked Dan Burn, didn't he, for throwing the ball back? He didn't launch the ball. He just kind of threw it back a little bit. And he was dying to give Dan Burn a yellow card, Pawson. He's not a disgrace. And I really hope Newcastle send a letter in about that referee because I think it was absolutely dreadful. He really, really was. Yeah, be right. He saved our bacon with that goal, Barbara. And the line clearance too. I mean, Lewis Hall is going to get a little bit of this, I think, from the fan base, because he is young, and some people maybe want to see a more experienced player there. But I'll be honest with you, Lloyd Kelly came off the bench today, and he was all right. He kept drifting inside as a centre half because that's what he is. He didn't do anything particularly better than Lewis Hall. I mean, yes, he made a mistake, got a yellow card early on, but the goal line clearance was brilliant. He whipped in a good few crosses as well, but just didn't quite have the movement because it was too static. He found himself in the attack third, him and Gordon 2-on-2, I think it was, and he could have really smashed it in the back of the net. But, I think Lewis Hall came good in the end in the game, to be fair. He was subbed off. Again, he subbed him off to, give him a little bit of rest in his legs. He's had a busy pre-season, but I think Lewis Hall will be a good player for us this season. He will start against Bournemouth. I'd be really surprised if he doesn't. So I think he'll be a good player, Lewis Hall, for us. So we'll not write him off too early on. But yeah, I thought overall, it was good enough to get the job done. It wasn't a great performance. The red card changes the game. It was Colin saying there, Hall loses the ball in bad positions a few times. Yeah, I think because he's brave, Colin, he tries different things. And if you're brave as a fullback, a modern day attacking fullback, you will lose the ball. You look at Alexander-Arnold and Robertson, who changed those whole positions. They lost the ball quite a lot as well early on in their career at Liverpool. So, I think, Lewis Hall would probably be a similar thing. But overall, as the game went, we did what we needed to do. We got a victory. It's a shame that we've had a red card. We got suspension. Maybe they'll appeal it. I don't know. I don't think anything will happen with it because he's put his head in there. So it is violent conduct. So he's not going to get that appealed. But it does. I think it does accentuate the fact that we need to bring in some quality in that team. I think the right hand side, Murphy was all right, but you can see the massive difference in quality. Gordon was rusty today, but he still had moments where he found those positions and that speed. Isak, again, there wasn't a lot of service coming his way, mainly because the three midfielders had to sit back instead of go forward. So you took that out of the game from Isak. But if we just had something on the right-hand side with a little bit of quality, a little bit of class, Barnes came on, got in some great positions. Again, his touch let him down a little bit, but there's goals in Barnes, that can change games for you. But I think we need upgrading that right-hand side of the football pitch. We need quality in that area. We can't go through a season with Miggy and Murphy. I'm sorry, we just can't. We need better quality in that position. Definitely at the back, we needed reinforcements anyway, because of the injuries to Botman and Lascelles. Now Schär's got a red card. 100%. Kraft did well when he come on. I must say, Grafted is not soft, as he always does Emil Kraft, but he's a good squad player. Can come in and do a job when you're missing people. But we need to get this Gahey deal over the line. I think this is just accelerated even more. We have to do it. And I really hope that they get the job done, starting next week, and then he can get a full week training with the lads, get down to Bournemouth, hopefully get into the squad, even get in the lineup if he's good enough and fit enough and sharp enough to do it. But yeah, it's a tough start. It's a ropey game. We had no right to really get a result, I think, in many ways. I think Southampton's game plan almost worked to a T if it wasn't for their keeper having a momentary lapse of concentration and Joelinton being bang up for it. We would have probably either drew or lost that game. So massive credit where it's due to the lads. Really impressed by the kind of graft, the resilience, the way they dug in and managed that game, because we weren't great. We were poor with the ball. We were sloppy. We were static. We made bad decisions. We were ill-disciplined as well. You look at Fabian Schär, but we still got the victory. We still won 1-0. I said the same thing the other day about Manchester United. Dog shit and win games 1-0. Now, if Newcastle can be dog shit and win games 1-0, we'll be all right this season. We'll finish very high up in the Football League. We're not going to be able to blast teams away week in, week out. There is going to be games where we're shit and we managed to scrape a victory, and we've got to take those when they come. Unfortunately, this kind of game, on paper, you look at it and you think it should have been a confidence-boosting performance, maybe 3 or 4-1 or whatever it would have been. But a win is a win. 3 points is 3 points, and Newcastle got the job done. But let us know in the comments below what you guys think about it. It's been great chatting to you tonight, as always. If this is the kind of thing you like, subscribe. Come and join us. Help get us over that 8.5K. That's the next milestone. Then on to 9, and we'll have a nice goodie prize for you. Have a belt tonight. Enjoy the victory. Have a pint. We'll be back, hopefully, what's going on Monday night. Breathe a sigh of relief. Newcastle are off to a win. Have a belt, everyone. See you later.